bill of materials. We call it a BOM or not. It's really up to you. The nice thing is I happen to know what I'm doing, so pretty easy. How are you tonight?
Man, I can't complain. And when I do, no result.
I hear you. Let's get it started. I am going to share my screen. We're the no frill zone right here. Boom. Share a screen. It's up. Oh, here. Look. I'll go Brady Bunch us right there.
There you go.
All right. And I'm just going to come over here. I typed in ranch style house because that's the most common here in the Midwest. And it gives you a ton of variety. Ranch style just refers to a single story home with maybe a room up in the attic. And I want to make it not super hard, but difficult enough that people that don't know solar very well can get an idea of proper orientation for everything. Make sense?
That makes sense.
All right, so let's find a good one. Oh, that's too easy.
Oh
Too
yeah,
easy.
that the one right below it.
Which one? This one?
Yeah,
That one?
that's
You,
pretty easy. Well,
yeah,
the
you
science terrible on that though. I don't know. It's almost too much pitch, right?
no,
No.
no. So people in the Northeast, all it means is the rail that you use on this. You can get away with XR100 if you're using Iron Ridge, XR1000 because pitches like this are typically in the Northeast, heavy snow load areas. So you want to have a heavier rail.
No, I see.
Yeah. I sounded quasi intelligent right there.
Just a little bit.
Just messing with people like this dude actually knows stuff. Uh, Here, this one looks good with the little pitches right here. So you got these little areas
Yeah.
right here. So that'll make it a little extra challenging, and it'll force us to go portrait here,
Right.
landscape
The
across
landscape.
here,
There you go.
and then we're going to go portrait all across here, right? So we got to come in 3 feet from this edge, so we can only get 1, 2 in portrait right there, but we can get 1, 2 landscape, 1, 2 landscape, 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 landscape.
What's it?
Boom.
10.
Oh, I'll show you. So we're going to take this building here, this house, which is just some kind of generic home looking thing. We're going to take that house and then watch this. I'm going to show you exactly how I would, dang it, share screen. And I'm going to share this screen over here. So this is literally just like graph paper, but I figure this is the easiest way for everybody to see what's going on. You can see the blue dots here, yeah?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at our picture. Now, when I switch in this particular one, there is no way for me to change them from landscape to portrait very easily, right? And for this particular one, I picked a Mission Solar 440, which is 82 inches long, 82 and a half, give or take, right? And it's 41 inches wide. So that's just when you're up there and you find the length of the roof.
How much are those, by the way?
The Mission, the 440s, if you're not an installer and you go directly to the distributor, they would probably sell these to you for about $350, give or take.
So a whole stack, because they come in a skid.
Well, no, you can buy individual ones from the distributor. If you buy an entire pallet, because solar's kind of hard to get right now, so they probably wouldn't sell an entire pallet to an individual.
Oh, I see.
At least not at a price that would make sense to the individual.
I was at a house the other day, and she was having solar trouble with the contractors, and they left a skid on her back driveway it had been there for a couple of months.
Jeez.
And it was too heavy to move because it's almost 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting. You probably have a couple of $1,000 sitting there.
Yeah, and if it went through like there's a thing, it's called Encore, which is not like your electric company. I know a lot of people have Encore for electric, but Encore in this particular instance is it's like a loan agency, but they guarantee it so that the distributor gets paid for the materials, and then the installer also gets paid, but they put a lien on people's houses and stuff. So
Yeah.
it does make it interesting, but you can see the screen. I'm moving up and down. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm checking on YouTube to make sure it's
All right.
doing its thing anyway.
So in this particular case, I am going to start with landscape. All right. So on the house, the way it's oriented, and I'm going to stop sharing this screen so that people have an idea of which one we're on. Nobody's leaving comments, so cool. So on this particular one, I'm going to go landscape here, right? Because I got to come in 3 here, so I can go 1 landscape right there, right where my mouse. What the devil? Don't switch on me. Yeah, I can go 1 landscape here. I can also do a portrait here because this space here is big enough for portrait.
Yeah.
But this roof here, I am also this is going to sound weird, but when you're putting the materials together for the zoning commission or the town that you're installing solar in, the orientation for the panels is as if you are standing on the ground looking up at the roof. All right, so east west is landscape, north south is portrait.
Oh, okay.
So here, even though if you were looking off to the side this way,
Right.
like this way, it would look like they're in landscape. On the bill of materials that you submit to the city, it's going to say portrait.
I see.
Okay, that makes sense to you?
Yeah.
But I'm technically going to lay them in landscape. That's just the way it is. But for me putting it together, I am going to say landscape. So I'm going to have 1 here in landscape. Then I'm going to come directly off of that, and I'm going to lay 2 also in landscape. Then I've got the dome of the roof, so I always leave that open. Boom, boom. Another 2.
You got a comment?
Oh, what's the comment? Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Hey, Dano's Toolbox. With you tonight. Everything is great, Dano. So, shoot. I have to share another screen. So I'm going to stop this screen and I'm going to share this so you guys can see.
Sandwich this later, but off to go catch a Como.
SEO Panther, how you doing tonight?
A Chomo.
I don't know what a chomo is.
Chomo?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. All right. So in that house, right? So edge of the house here, 3 feet in, always 1 panel space. Okay. So 3 feet in, then I've got the little offshoot where I'm showing more panels, right? Now over on the other section, I also have another 1, 2, 3. Oh, I got to remove that one. Sorry. Then add, because you always leave the space for the dormer.
Right.
With the roof.
Right. The peak, whatever.
Yep. So this is all of the landscape. So I'm going to hit save
Oh.
and crop. So that's
Yeah.
one
Go
part,
catch him.
right? So that's just that. And then I'm going to come down here. I'm going to add another one. And these are the ones I'm going to do in portrait. So because I've already got the edge of the house taken care of, I can go based on the house. I can go 1, 2, 3,
How's it going, Juan?
4.
We got Juan Pratt's in the house.
Juan Prats, how the heck are you? That's 4. And then I can go 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can come down here and I can get another 1, 2, 2.
We're playing Minesweeper. If he gets the wrong one, man, it's over. Stream's over.
Boom. Crop. Now, there you go. So I literally laid out that entire roof structure. And let me go back
to the roof.
Stop. Yep. Share. So that you all can, no, this one. Share. South Florida Hokie, how the heck are you? Glad to have you here. So this whole house, I just laid out the entire front side of the house. The back side of the house, I would just assume does not have these here.
Right.
So that would make that a little bit easier.
That's
So,
Robert's house.
no, that is not my house. So we're back over to our graph.
South Florida Hoagie says, good evening, guys. Both of y'all killing it with the live streams. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
We're going to try. So here we go. On the back side of the house, I'm going to look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can go 13 across the back side of the house. Now this is
3 tall.
I would only go,
2.
Given the pitch of that roof, I could probably get 3 on there.
Or you could at least do landscape along the bottom. Portrait. Sorry. No,
you would do landscape along
landscape.
the bottom.
Yeah. Landscape.
I don't like, for aesthetic value.
Yeah.
I don't like running landscape along the bottom. If I can fit 3, I'll fit 3. If 2 makes sense, and 2 with this, I would do, if I did 3, I would go shared rail.
Oh, okay.
So the top and the middle would share a common rail.
For structure.
Yeah. And then the middle and the bottom would also share a common rail.
I see.
So I'm eliminating 2 pieces of rail by doing that. That's saving the client cash. But here we go. So we have the back side of the house.
Right.
We have all the ones that we're going to do in portrait on the front.
Right.
All the ones we're going to do in landscape also on the front.
Okay.
Right. So here is the total that we're going to have. And I'll just create the bill of materials because it's easy. I'm going to go wire clips because you always want to go wire clips. I'm going to go rail mount J-box and boom.
So how many panels was that total?
Let's go back. It does tell us how many panels we have.
And was that with microinverters or was that straight DC with optimizers?
So on this particular thing that I am using, there is no microinverters, but that's so easy. It's 1 per panel. Optimizers, 1 per panel.
Right.
Because
right.
it's a residential, you can't daisy chain. So you can't go multiple. You can't go 4 to 1. Commercial, you can. Land, you can. Or ground, you can. But in this, you can't. So you're getting 31 total panels on that one house.
Right.
And in the arrangement that I have laid out here, backside, portrait of the front. Uh-oh.
Wait, Control Z. Hit Control Z.
All right. And then landscape on the front of the house. Now, let's go back over to our home here.
Looks like you live in Iceland, so we got to go there.
Okay. Boom. So back over to our house here. You would actually run the two. So I lost 2 panels there. Anyway, you would actually run this panel in landscape, these two together.
In portrait, right.
Yep. You would run those together. And then underneath this one, you would run a solar deck down into the attic.
Okay.
All along the back side, you're going to connect those together. You're going to have back here a solar deck box coming through the back into the same area of the attic. You're going to tie those two together. You're going to run them through conduit down to from here over to here and down to a box outside. Right? You can also run it from here through here into a box in the garage, which is where you would probably put this if you're having a battery backup.
Right.
Right. So that all makes sense to you. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So these ones here connected together. The two that we ran in landscape, though we have
for strings. For strings.
Yep.
Connected.
Yep.
Okay.
So the two that we ran here and all of this surface area right here and these two, we're all going to run all these together with
on one string.
Yep, with a solar deck box over here, run down, and then we're either going to run it back through here, which given the orientation of the house, if it's not a battery backup, this is where I'm going on this side of the house for all of this. If there's a battery backup, because your battery has to be enclosed in an area, easiest way to do that is the garage. I would run it all through here. That's it, guys. That's how easy it is to do solar. So that's 31 panels on this house. On this house in literal seconds. Like, it didn't take me any time to do that.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead. Hi, Jose.
Hang on. I don't want to get myself in trouble. Hang on.
The Mo is in the basement.
Ha ha ha. Oh, I do have a picture of. Remember I told you these panels were everywhere today?
Yeah. They're running everything in landscape.
Yeah. Well, that's what the plan said. Hang on. Let me show you this.
That's 51 panels in landscape. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Hang on.
So every section of the house, the reason
like everywhere was yeah. But hang on.
Yeah. So just so you guys are clear,
oh my goodness, it keeps switching.
Every new area of the house that you go into, right, when you're changing, is a new penetration through the roof, a new solar deck box. The reason you wouldn't put a solar deck box over those bedrooms, which is what those are, is because you don't want that current running directly over there. So you're going to run it back through under the panels. You're going to connect it in through solar deck boxes in the attic. So how thick should plywood roof deck be to mount panels? You're going straight into the roof joists. So
that's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah, the plywood on your roof really doesn't matter. Typically, it's a 1/2 inch. Some houses, older houses, will have a slightly thicker, but it's typically a 1/2 inch. But you're going into the joist.
Oh my goodness, man! This thing's going to rotate on me, and that's going to be the end of.
All right, so here's how you're. I'll tell you guys how to do the entire thing. The
No-
easiest one is Iron Ridge. You're going to use the flash foot too. You're going to go under your shingles with the flash foot. But before you even do that, you're going to look at the side of your house where that little nice looking that covers your roof joists are. You're going to look for nails. You're going to go up directly from those nails with a chalk line, smack her down. You're going to hit a
Go
well,
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just trying to see if you can even see it.
I can't see it, but you're going to go off to the right side of that chalk line and you're going to drill a hole. Leave your drill bit in the roof. That's right. Go into the attic and check to see how far away that drill bit is from the joist. You're going to measure that space. You're going to add 3/4 of an inch. That puts you in the center of the joist. Then every 24 inches after that, you have another joist. It's very easy. Now for rail, right? You go into every joist. So it's pretty freaking easy to set it up. You just go every 24 inches, bam, 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 bam. You put your flash feet. You come off of the flash foot, which it has a little U-shaped deal to it. You put your rail on with some square nuts, square bolts. Don't tighten them down until you make sure it's all level. Put it level. Tighten her down. Put your wire clips on it along every edge. And I typically tell people to do it about every 18 inches, give or take. You can go more, you can go less. Doesn't really matter, but 18 inches so that the wires don't sag down below the rail and you don't get a code violation. Right?
Yeah. This is
You run your T nuts on the top of the rail, run them all the way through, separate them so that you have so that you can put your panels down. You put your panels down between the panels. You run UFOs. It's actually what they're called. They're little nuts with a big head on them, right, and a T bottom, so they turn into the rail, and you tighten them down.
and they bite and they
Yep,
bond.
yep,
Yep.
they bond.
Self bonding.
And
Very important.
this entire array, you're going to use 3 grounding nuts because you have 3 separate strings.
This is where I'm getting at. Okay, so this is.
I know my stuff. I'm just
Please,
saying. I can
please.
blow people away on this. Hey, Daniel Rubio, glad to have you here. Thanks for being here, Scott M. I answered your question.
What is it doing?
I really do know this stuff, guys. This is like eating and breathing to me.
Hang on. Oh my goodness, man. Hang on. We're gonna. No.
You're good.
Oh, if we zoom in, it stops it from rotating. No, it doesn't.
Can you email it to yourself and then just share the screen?
No. I can surely do something else on this iPad other than having to email it to myself. I mean, come on. We'll just take 4 more screenshots till we figure it out.
Okay.
There we go. I did it. First try. All right. So you'll see here that
use your
number
stopper
1.
sleeves. This one's 35 millimeter stopper sleeves at the end because you can't use camos on that.
Can't see it. It's not clear. Is it clear? Let's see.
No, it's blurry.
Yeah,
Here,
it's blurry.
let me give you the screen all to yourself.
Oh, well, that's not going to help. That's going to make it look even more worse. That's good. Okay, number 6. I can see it. It says right here. Number 6, bare copper ground. Okay.
Yes.
So we see that it's required, right? And they're also running Romex in this case, which they can do because it's AC and it's off of microinverters. I'm going to go to a fancy program that I can draw something on.
Brian B, if you have battery backup, if you do battery backup with a solar array, you're going to end up paying much more than $250. Depending on your usage, it could be helpful. It could not. But when you consider that most people end up paying about $8 per kilowatt for an array, no. All right, let's see. Add to stream. SoAlz is stinky.
How did I get there?
Some gay dude did that. Someone from Florida said they had to have double sheets thick on roof reason I asked. I have
Well, probably
never heard of
hurricanes.
that. Yeah,
Hurricanes, probably. Could be
I've
a building code. That's terrible. There's our roof. You
all
like
right.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we have whatever. We'll just call this a batch of panels. We'll call that one array, and we'll call this another array, and it's
One
green
string.
because,
One string, because if it's on
well,
our
yeah,
house,
each one
one
string,
array.
but this is an array of a bunch of panels. Okay. So there, you got 4 there, and you got 4 panels here. Okay.
All right.
I'm instantly regretting doing green because I need green for the ground. Haha. We're gonna do this. Oh, fantastic! This is going real good.
Okay.
Okay, so that's our solar
So
arrays.
pretty. It's so pretty. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then our Soladex is usually underneath the panel. We'll just draw it here just because, right?
Yep.
These are our Soladexes, okay?
Yep.
And then on the side of the house, we have the wall, of course.
Yep.
And then we have the box, right? The
Yeah,
box
and
goes here.
it has to be NM rated.
Right.
So it has to be weatherproof.
So we
That
got
means
the
plastic,
box.
though.
Now, this is what I see all the time. We're going to use orange because they ran Romex, right? Because
Okay, yeah.
they can. Oh my goodness, what are you doing? Doesn't matter. Cool. They ran Romex, right? They go in the attic, and then you look at the attic run, and hopefully it's strapped properly and all that stuff. But it goes to this first Soladex, right?
Yeah.
And what we saw in the plans was a number 6. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, dude, what are we doing here? Every time I click that button, it changes colors on me. There, we did it. All right, and then we have the number 6 here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times, what I see is they stop running the number 6, and they go to the next box or whatever they're doing because they're just taking the next string over here. Like it's a different string, but it's going to the same place, you know.
Yep.
And usually this one's in flex because whenever it comes out of the wall here, it's in a conduit. And then they flex it all the way to the first box.
I understand.
And it has the green in it. Sometimes I see it without the green. They're just trying to use the number 10 on the Romex for the ground.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, no, you definitely can't do that.
Mm-mm.
But do they have to run? That's supposed to be orange. What happened here, guys?
I don't know.
I did it. Do they have to run the green to the next array? To the next string?
Ideally, you would treat those separately. Right.
So you would have the green going to the next one.
Yeah.
Do you have to? Because I understand you got a rail system.
Yeah.
And the rail system is absolutely bonded to heck.
Yep.
So if someone didn't run oh my god, that was green now. If someone didn't run this ground to this box, would it be okay?
It would be, depending on the load coming out. Yeah.
Per code, would it be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so the basic thing is you got to match the plans in this case, and the plans say to run it. Now you've got to do what the engineer said. If not, we're responsible for something that wasn't planned in the field.
There are programs out there that will do the one line for you and tell you exactly how. But those things are rarely ever correct, to be honest with you. Just like if you do a build a material through Unirac, Iron Ridge, Iron Mountain, or any of those, they always overproduce the rail. They always give you too much rail because they're going worst case scenario, and they don't consider just how, because you can literally put a panel 2 inches away from the end of the rail, and a lot of times it makes more sense to cut your own rail out in the field as opposed to buying smaller rail. So you can get rail in 8, 12, 16, and 20 foot pieces. 8, 12, and 16 are the most common, but you can get in 20, right? So I mean, it's actually better for you to buy a bunch of 16-foot rail and then cut it down to 8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it makes more sense.
That's cool.
The cost difference between 8 and 16 isn't that much. You're only talking about a difference of maybe $10 or $15 on a $70 piece of rail.
Right. Now that makes perfect sense.
So buying a 16-foot piece of rail and making it 2/8 You got a palm tree on the sun? What are you doing?
I've been drawing on paint, bro. You
Okay.
got these painting skills.
No,
Okay.
I'm an adult.
Oh no. Shots fired.
Anyway, so do you guys have questions for me about like how you would run the rail, like proper ways of doing it? Because I can explain it to you pretty fast. I saw somebody, hey, Antonio Claudio Michael is here. One of the great channels here on YouTube. We definitely support Antonio. We love you. Hope you're having well. Sorry, or hope you're doing well. And I'm sorry to hear about your puppy. Um, sorry, man.
What's going on, Antonio? Yeah, my condolences, buddy.
So if you guys don't like, if you don't have any questions for me, I don't know. I went through that really fast.
Yeah, you did. It's almost like you might have done it before or something.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
Doing it on a live stream like this actually takes more time than for me to sit down and create an entire build of materials. Uh, Flat roof is super easy because you can go with a ballast tray.
Like my
And,
picture.
yeah, I don't.
Get that out of here. There you go. Fix it.
So yeah, I can. I saw somebody. Jose had said he's trying to do off grid. I can show you how to do an entire off grid system with battery backup that'd save you a ton of money.
Yeah.
As opposed to paying an installer to come out and then not do it right. Because most,
Lithium's where it's at too
yeah,
for batteries.
yeah.
Lithium.
Well, I mean, I hate to. So we call them heavy cell, but they're really lead cell batteries. Can be used on a solar array, and they're super cheap, but they're heavy and they're not very efficient.
Yeah, you can only drain 50% of it. So you might get a 200 amp hour battery for $180, or you get a 100 amp hour
Yeah,
lithium for like 600. And you do the math on it, and you actually can use more of the lithium. It's you almost break even though you're spending a lot more for one battery,
yeah.
because you can
So
drain that sucker down to 2%.
So, Brian, for wire management, there are two ways you can go. I always like doing the zip ties because they're stupid fast, and because I always have my Klein precision cutters near me. I never slow down, like boom, boom, boom. But if you want the best system, the one that will not, uh, because eventually those wire straps fail, the zip ties fail. They just do. Then you have wire on the house. The wind blows, it'll rub that wire, and then you're wishing you had put wire clips. But they do actually have specialized zip ties just for photovoltaics. I was teasing him about it yesterday, but they do have those out there. So you can do zip tie. Over time though, you're probably better off going with wire clips. And Scott M says, say electric bill is $250 a month. How many panels for no bill?
Mm.
I would have to know how many kW you're running, and like how many kW an hour on average. It's on your electric bill. I would have to know that to answer you intelligently. Most homes,
25.
yeah, most homes end up running about 5 to 6 kW per hour, which means you're going to have to put an array that's about 9.2 to 9.6 on your house. So at to offset that cost, a 9.6 kW average, and I'm sorry, I'm kilowatt. That's what kW kilowatt.
38, 42,000 right now.
Yeah, it's 38.8 average, just depending on where you live. In the Northeast, it's more expensive because the rail is heavier. In the South, where you can use like XR10, which is you can bend it in your hand, XR10 rated or XR10 rail, super cheap. So it just is what it is. I'd have to know like how many kW. Will you ever do a solar series? If I do solar, it's going to be in live streams just like this, because for me to sit down and do a video on it when literally it takes me 5 minutes to set up an entire array, it's probably not worth doing it. I can talk intelligently about solar if you guys want. So if that's what y'all want, I'll certainly do it. I can make a video series about solar if that's what you want. It's just going to be like me taking pictures of the house and then showing people what the array should look like when it's all said and done. So I don't know. Lead battery, no way. Lead batteries are most of the world still using lead batteries because lithium ion is, one, it's very hard to get right now, and two, it's super expensive. So most people are still using lead batteries across the world. Now, the strange thing is, here in the US, we have overload protection, we have surge protection, we take a bunch of extra precautions that the rest of the world doesn't really take. If you go to Australia, you'll see people running a DC coupler straight from before their inverter over into some lead battery.
Yeah.
And then literally once the indicator is shows up that it's done, it
Or
auto
turn it off.
switches back to the inverter. Here in the US, we have a bunch of extra steps, a bunch of extra things that really aren't needed because you're not carrying a whole lot of amperage for most residential houses. You're not carrying a whole lot of amperage, so the extra precautions that we're taking are just for safety and insurance mostly. Would you recommend DIY and saving on the install? So a Rigo, the problem with that is most solar panels and every rail, if you do the install yourself, voids the warranty. Microinverters, optimizers, inverters, the same way. Now, that being said, there is a workaround. Every single one of those companies offers classes for you to take online and get certified. And then you can do it on your own house and it does not void the warranty.
Oh, there you go.
So, Richard Hosey says, I am full off grid and love it. Yeah, a bunch of, I think that's a lot of people are going that way, especially the last 3 or 4 years, given the state of the world. It is what it is. So it does make a lot of sense for some people. I actually live on the perfect property for solar and I don't have it.
Yeah.
That, you know, but my electric bill is like $150, $200 a month. If I get a 30, 50, $80,000 array on my home, well, then the bill on that's about like 1,200. It just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Tactics, you could draw an example.
Yeah.
My kilowatt an hour is 34 an hour, but I have a lot of electronics and 6 kids plus me and my wife. So I would tell you now, if you need 34 kW an hour, you're going to go with a ground mount so that you can daisy chain. That's just industry term, which means you're running for residential, you're actually not allowed to run more than 6 to 1 on a ground. Commercial, you can run 8 to 1. So 8 panels, 1 optimizer. All right, that's what that means, right? 4 to 1, 6 to 1 on residential, 4 panels to 1 optimizer. That's how that works. So and then you're running on a ground mount. You're not going to run microinverters. Cost is the biggest issue with a ground mount because you're already taking. I don't want to get too technical, but We call them GFC. They're big, heavy rails, and you're pounding them into the ground about 8 feet with 4 inches of gravel at the bottom. 4 to 6.
Yep. You got to have gravel.
Yeah, 4 to 6 inches of gravel at the bottom. But or you can do the screws. I know the screws are getting more popular, but depending on where you are in the country, screws may not make sense. Ground screws, right? So
Right.
God, I feel like I'm losing people because I'm using too much jargon. But yeah, how much does a 11.6 kW array cost? It's going to run you about 52,000.
Yeah.
Just no battery. If you run, and depending, I always tell people, like, if you're going to do battery backup, do generator with it.
Yeah, you're going to get about what, 8,000, 9,000 back though?
Yeah.
Tax credit.
Yes. But a lot of people are signing that tax credit over to the loaning company. So your installer actually goes through a loaning company, right?
Yeah. And then they
Evergy,
incentivize you to pay it back in 2 years. So they pretty much they know you're going to get $11,000 back from the government. So they balloon payment you. If you don't pay $9,000 in 2 years,
yeah,
your payment that is now whatever it is at $230 a month turns into $370 monthly payment if you don't pay back in 2 years. They balloon payment you.
yeah. So most people are signing over their tax credit to the loaning company so that they can buy down that balloon payment as much as possible. And I know of places that are now going 10-year loan, which is ridiculous. But the interest rate on that's what gets you, is the interest. But
Yeah.
so anyway, on a ground array, if you need 34 kW on a ground array, first of all, you're going to go solar edge. You're going to use 3 10 kW inverters. You're going to tie those all together to create. Well, I'll say it this way: you're going to use 2 10 kW inverters. You're going to use one 7.5. Yeah, because you can
7.5 and a 5.
Yeah, you can overwork that 7.5 and the 210s to make up that 34.
Right.
So you can go 150% above the inverter.
I was gonna say that's what they did in my house. I've got two.
Yeah, the way you string those, the array, is you're going to string 15 kW to each of the 10s, and the remainder to the 7.5. So that way,
how many kilowatts are you spending per how many cents per kilowatt are you at right now, Scott? Because it just went up. So I locked in. I was with Green Mountain Energy. I was with 11.9 cents per kilowatt after TDU charges. And 3 years later, I went to go re-up and get another contract, and they got me at 14. And now you can't avoid it. They're charging you $10 extra per month just to store your credits.
Yeah.
So I had buyer's remorse a couple of months later, and I knew rates were going up. I keep my ears low to the ground and stuff. I knew rates were going up. I wasn't sure how much. I went back to get the same plan just to see how much it cost. 18.9 cents right now.
So I'm actually going to share my screen one more time, and I'm going to show you guys what the BOM is for this particular array. So the build of material on that house. And you can see now the rail here, they've got 54 sticks of rail because they don't count the pieces that we can cut. And it's 14-foot rail, right? So they're not counting that we can take.
That's triple what it was 4 years ago, dude. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, wait till you see the entire list. So we have wire clips. A lot of people would do zip ties, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
End caps. those are code. You have to have end caps on a solar array that's on your roof. It keeps critters out of there, mice, bees, whatnot, keeps them out of there because they could potentially chew the wire. So they have you do have to have end caps. The maple hardware here, the J box for your rail mount, and I do my J boxes on the rail. You can also do them on the roof. I do them on the rail because I want to keep as much off of the roof as possible, as few roof penetrations as possible. And then you can do contour end caps, which is, it's actually a windbreaker that will run around your entire array. Very expensive. Don't do it. So they gave us way too much rail. I can look at it and tell you that they gave us way too much rail. They also gave us 20 bonded. That's good. The UFOs, 186 UFOs, that's perfect. 68 stopper sleeves, which are those are going to run along the entire outside of your array. And they gave us 17 grounding lugs. Right.
It's generous.
So, yeah. So I actually only need 6, but whatever, because I can the
Run a
offshoot,
continuous, just run a
yeah.
continuous. Yeah.
So I need 4, and somebody asked if that is the same as a grounding rod, and the answer is no. That a grounding rod is something that runs off the side of the house that you put an acorn on, and you run your bare copper straight to it, so that if your array is hit by lightning, it goes into your grounding rod. Now your grounding rod is 8 feet. You're bearing all but 8 to 12 inches.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if you really want an education, I'll show you how to do it with a bottle of water. So you're going to need 156 flash feet. That's 2 per panel, right? And that's for your railing.
Right.
Your hardware.
That doesn't even include the inverter.
Nope. So your total build of materials. Now, you have to remember, I am doing this as an installer. This is not what you're going to pay as a homeowner.
Right.
So do not get this confused with, oh, I hit the Joy Luck Club. No.
Yeah, add another 4. I'll be right back.
Actually, I hate to tell you this, you're going to double this. Because
really?
You're going to pay for labor in your materials.
Oh, I thought you meant, okay. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about labor.
Yeah. So that's going to be $20,000.
But if you're going to buy that yourself and do it yourself, it'd be about another 4, wouldn't it?
If 4 to 5, maybe 6, just depends, like who your distributor is, and whether they like you or not. And I will tell you this: the distributors, they pride themselves on being scumbags. Their own words. And I can tell you, because this CED Green Tech is a distributor for solar. And I've gotten these so many times. I probably have 8 of these hats laying around. I've been there so much. They're really comfortable with me, and they describe themselves as scumbags. So when a homeowner would go in and ask for a BOM and give them a BOM, it was sock it to them time. So you do end up, you're going to end up paying pretty close to what it would cost if you had an installer come out and do it. Now that's not that way for everyone, but
how much are the inverters then?
So for this one, that's hard to say, because a Solar Edge, 310s, now 210s and a 7.5. So the 210s are going to be about another
6 or 7, right?
5.5.
Yeah.
And then the 7.5 is going to hit you about 4. So you've got another 14,000 on top of that. So you're at $34,000. That doesn't even include the cost of the panels. The panels that we use, being Mission, they're going to run you about $300 a piece as a homeowner, What your installer pays is closer to 125 to 150 for those same panels, because they buy in bulk, they buy in volume, so they definitely do get a break there. So it's going to be, yeah. Jose saying 60,000. Yeah, that's what that array is going to be.
Man, that's crazy, dude. I
And
got my solar just in time to
and
where
that array is a 12. It's going to end up being about a 12.6 kW array. Just the way it's configured. Dang it.
that doesn't even, if you need a panel, well, you'd be doing a supply side tap at that point, just to
Yeah.
make sure you don't need a panel. And then you still need disconnects. You still need
Oh, so that's 67. That is 76 panels on that ranch style home.
Oh, that's a lot.
So you're definitely, and that's actually, now that I say that, that's probably going to be a 16 kW array that you can put on that house.
Probably overkill on that one.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on how they heat, what their goal is, total elimination of the bill and all that. But yeah, I definitely could probably overbuilt that one, but doing it on the fly like that, not knowing.
BW, so what brand do you recommend?
So Hanwha Q-Cell is the easiest to get, and they're the cheapest. Mission Solar is a Texas-based solar company that is very good. But the best panel in the world is Solaria. They're also the most expensive. Solaria panels probably going to set you back about $400 to $500 a piece.
Oh, wow.
For a 450, but they are also the best looking. They're the most efficient. They unlike, so LG got out of the game. That'll tell you how solar's doing. LG quit. Panasonic quit. So that'll tell you. But Solaria, even if your array is like, if your panel's 50% shade covered, it's still working. No other panel does that.
Oh, wow.
There are some of them like Hanwha Q-Cell, 15%, and it shuts down the panel completely. LG was up to, I want to say 30, 35% when they got out of the game.
What's my Longies doing?
Oh,
that's old technology.
It is, and your panels are what, 300K or 300 kW?
315s, I think, 320s, something like that.
315. Yeah, so they are older. And it's probably closer to 20-25% shade cover, and then they shut down. And the thing is, if more than a quarter of your array is shut down, your entire array shuts down automatically.
I like that. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to get out of here.
You go.
All right.
This took a lot longer than I thought, but we ended up getting questions. So
yeah, had some questions. People came in, and it's all good.
I'm going to stick around for a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions. If not, we're going to end it up, and we're going to wrap it up.
Are the rec panels good? That's what was recommended to me, Brian B.
No.
All right, you guys, I'm out of here.
So REC panels are they're fairly inexpensive for the installer, which is why I'm thinking they recommended that to you. They're not bad by any stretch, but they're on the lower end of the scale. I would implore you to look at Hanwha Q-Cell. You could just call them Q-Cell if you called a distributor. I would tell you to look at Q-Cell, Longi. Those are probably the easiest ones to get. REC means they probably got stuck with them. And I'll tell you this, you probably don't want to look at a under 400 watt panel right now, which 3 years ago, 350 was the max. Yeah, Hanwha Q-Cell. Hold on. Q-Cell 480. Boom. I'm finding the panel for you guys just so you can see it. And I want to make sure it is Korean. And you do want to go with monocrystalline as opposed to polycrystalline. Polys just aren't that efficient. Now here's, I'm going to share my screen again. Boom. And we're going to go right like this. So you guys can do this live. So look, this is a 480 watt Q cell panel. Now this, the weight on this is probably 70 pounds. It is 72 cells. So if you, I wish I could point, but if you see the little silver lining that runs up and down here, those are cell indicators. There are smaller ones that run from left to right. The thick ones, because that's where they're connected, run north, south, or up, down. So this is a 72 cell panel that provides you with 480 watts. Are these good ones for, you're talking about mountable on an RV or camper? I'll be honest with you, Scott, I can mount any panel to an RV or camper. And I can actually tell you like a fairly efficient way of doing it, because you're instead of running your rail east west, you're going to run them north south, and you're going to create a pivot so that you can lower them and raise them in place to get the maximum efficiency on an RV. Most of what people are putting on their RVs though are about 100 to 200 watt panels. They suck. They're not very efficient. They're probably polycrystalline like Harbor Freight. They're not very efficient. You're going to want a monocrystalline. You're going to want to go with a bigger panel. You could probably get a cheap 350 to 380 watt panel right now because people are not installing those on their house. So go to the distributor and get that. But if you set up the panels, let me do this again. So if you set up the panels so that it's north south across the top of your RV, you can actually create a pivot system with it by running a rail, a bar, for lack of a better term, a bar across that stands it up, lock it in place so that now you have a tilt system that you create yourself on top of your RV. You can get a much bigger panel on it that way. You can make your RV much more efficient. There you go. I hope that helps you. If you understand what I'm like, again, eating and breathing, it's very easy for me to talk about this stuff. So I'll show you, because you're asking about them. Q-Cell, yes, Q-Cell the way to go. Hawa, thanks for the education. No worries. Are these good for the RV? I answered that one. They told me the REC. So I'm gonna come over here. REC. Oh, the N peak, yeah. Oh, are you in Arizona by any chance, Brian? I'm there's a reason I'm asking. just yeah, I understand. Okay, good. I want to make sure I'm not losing anybody, because some of the it's not actually a complicated thing that I'm talking about. The solar is very easy. In the Southwest, that's what what they recommend, the REC panels. Okay, and Brian B is in Florida. So, do you remember what wattage they're talking about to you? Is it the I would need to know, like, the panel. Is it the N peak? Which N peak is okay. So I'm going to show you what they're talking about, and then I'll show you the one that I would recommend. if that's fair. I want to be fair, and you'll see the difference. All right. So I'm going to share my screen again. All right. Alpha. Okay. So you could, yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. I don't know what that is. Do you see how this bends? Right? You do not, tools and tactics, hit the thumbs up. Thank you for being here, Robert. A panel that bends should never be used. And I'm just going to say that. They're not as efficient. And the thing is, when they bend, it can create micro fractures within the panel. So the panel will look all right, but the micro fractures will mean that that array, that panel is not working to its maximum efficiency. Now, REC, the alpha, it's an okay. It is okay. 380. Wow. Oh, I like that. Glass cell. Yeah, that's 33%. All right. So here's the one I would recommend. So you're going to say, here's the differences in the panels. So fairly sleek, but you see how big the spacing is? Just, you guys tell me if you can see how big the spacing is between the cells to run through, right? That's so the 66 cell here, 72 cell here, right? But you can see there's big spacing here, and especially here in the middle, and up and down here. Very big spacing on this, right? Now they're claiming, and I don't know that this isn't true, but they're claiming that you can have 33% coverage on it, right? Which this all looks great. Here's the one I would recommend. The Solaria 400. This is the most efficient panel in the world. There are, we used to use these as whiteboards in the shop because it's smooth all the way across. So the difference between a Solaria panel and an REC, I removed myself from the stream. The differences between an REC panel is the panels run like this. So they run together. That's why you see those spaces. All right. Now, all that space, all those little spaces that are in there is room for inefficiency, right? A Solaria panel is shingled. So the cells, the end of one cell sits over the end of another cell. So the efficiency actually increases because this area where there are two cells covering one another provides you with more production. So I don't do this anymore. So it doesn't matter to me which way where you go. REC is a decent panel, but any panel that bends I would avoid because it's inefficient. Any panel that you see big lines in, also inefficient. So I would avoid that. I'd want to know the warranty. Solaria is a 25/25 wraparound, which means anything happens to the panel for 25 years, it is covered. Anything that happens to the framing, it's covered. That's one of the reasons why I like the Solaria. It's why I also liked LG. I'll tell you this, when I was doing this, I wasn't the cheapest date in town. I was just the best. So I always recommended people the high end because I knew I was going to have fewer issues with it. And the fewer issues I have, the better it is for me. They are offering both these panels for the same price, but they say the REC performance is better in heat and keep their efficiency up to 92% in 25 years. Yeah, that is I can tell you that. So LG and Solaria actually are the two best as far as maintaining their efficiency over time. And I'm just going to show you this from their website. After 25 years, it says 92% here. That is unheard of. That will not happen. So no, Solaria is its own separate company. I see where it says that, but most of your inefficiency happens right around the 3rd year, as it is here. You could see, boom. But even the most efficient panel in the world will not give you 92% after 25 years. It sounds great. I would love it if it was true. Hello again, Lee. Glad to have you here. It sounds great, but I can tell you no. It's even LG wasn't saying that. And LG and Solaria are the two examples that everyone tried to follow. So I would just caution you on tales like this. One of the reasons I don't trust the solar world is because of things like this. And I can guarantee you, if I called Brian over at LG, probably out of work now, he would tell you that is closer to 70, 80% in 25 years. It's just the way it is. I wish it was that much. Solaria panels cost how much? They're not cheap. That's what I'll say. They're about $400 to $500 a panel. They're expensive. Are you better off building an array or mounting to the roof? I think you mean, are you better building your array on the roof or on the ground? So for cost, you're actually better putting it on the ground because you can daisy chain on the ground and you can't daisy chain on the roof. So you means more moving parts on a roof as opposed to the ground. So you don't want to yeah, no worries, Brian. I don't want to cause you any issues here. I am just telling you from years of experience in the solar industry. And yes, I have used the RECs, I've used the neons, and I have used the alphas, and I can tell you, no. I would use them for how's a nice way of saying people I don't like. I would use those for customers that absolutely had to have that panel. Budget-friendly customers, I would recommend SoAlz. I would recommend like middle ground, I would go Mission, and then top end, I would go LG and Solaria, and I always led with LG and Solaria. Yes, so building on the ground is much more beneficial to your pocketbook, and it's a lot easier. I did a 1.2 megawatt project in 43 days by myself. So that'll tell you again. Jose, I should do a series. Yeah, this is taking a lot longer than I thought because I've done solar videos before and nobody watches them. I might get 100 or 200 views. Nobody really watches them, and it is great to see Llama in the house tonight. So thank you for being here, Llama. So I don't know that they're lying to you, Brian. I just don't know that they're telling the truth. So would you theoretically have less wind stress on the ground? No, because your roof actually acts as a wind barrier, and you can put in wind deflectors on a roof that you can't do on a ground mount. And I can tell you, I've seen people do ground mount. For some reason, they want to move their array around on a vehicle. I've seen people do arrays on top of a vehicle, and they end up turning the vehicle over like with the wind. So I mean, I am in the Midwest. We get high winds out here anyway, or they just don't know. Yeah, I'll tell you this: most of the solar people that go into houses and try to sell solar don't know the first thing about solar. They don't. They know how to do math, which is great for them. Microinverters a better option on a roof for a home. Yes, a much better option. More expensive, but a better option. So a microinverter on a roof, you're not carrying the amperage through the wire, so you can actually use a smaller gauge. Well, I guess smaller gauge to me, higher gauge to you. So the number. When I talk about gauge, I'm talking about the thickness. So a smaller gauge wire for your array if you use a microinverter, because you're not carrying the amperage or the voltage through it that you would with a direct current or an optimizer, which the optimizer is carrying a straight DC current from the panel through the optimizer down to the inverter where it'll be converted to AC. So an optimizer is less expensive than a microinverter, but you have the inverter at the bottom, which increases the cost. So it does become more expensive that way. But, well, not really, but it can be more expensive, I should say that. But an optimizer does provide you it does provide you with a little more security than a microinverter. But a microinverter for a residential home, that is the way I would go if I were doing it. If I were setting it up, I wouldn't even talk to people about it, inverters or optimizers and inverters. I would strictly talk to them about end phase microinverters and go from there. I mean, do you guys have any more questions for me? Am I boring you yet? I just I hate to leave the conversation open that way, but it really just, a lot of it just depends on what you want. I can tell you microinverters are better than optimizers. There you go. So no other questions, comments, concerns? Nobody wanting to call me an idiot? So unusual. Well, if I've answered all your questions, very knowledgeable. You're answering. No worries, man. I hope I can help. If you have like questions or whatever, if you want to know how I would arrange your house, just send me a photo and I'll work up a deal and show you exactly how it should be done, Soladex and all that. How many 400-watt panels and amp hour batteries to run a 15 kilowatt RV? Wow, that's a big ass RV. I don't think you mean I don't. So you would run microinverters for the RV because all the appliances and whatnot that you would be running on AC. Oh, 15,000 BTU. I would have to know the efficiency on the AC of it, but it's probably like a 3 to 4 kW. So 3 to 4, so 6 to 8 panels. That's it. That's pretty easy. How many subscribers do I need to reach 10,000? I don't know. Let's check. Probably 250, give or take. Yep, 250. I need 250 to hit 10,000. Yeah. So Yeah, so if you're really going to mount it to the top of an RV, I'll say it costs you about $4,500 to get it completely set, give or take. Depends on what area of the country you're in and how bad your distributor is. Not these guys. Don't use them. They'll suck it to you. All right. No more questions about solar? Can you clean panels with regular water? Sure. Soap and water works. Yeah. If you're, I'll say this. If you're running optimizers off of that, you are going to want to stay off of the roof because those are direct current. And if you're if you ever run an optimizer, use wire clips. Run it across the rail. Save yourself the trouble, because if that's ever hanging, scraping, you got DC. Well, that DC current's coming back to you, buddy. Don't do that. So yeah, you can clean your panels off with soap and water. It's completely fine. Won't hurt them. Just be aware of the brushes that you're using, because any of the scratches that you leave with a hard bristle brush could ruin the efficiency of your panel. Never walk on your panels either. If you ever see an installer walking on your panel, fire them. They're not supposed to do that. You create microfractures in your array. All right. Last call for questions. I didn't expect it to take an hour 17 minutes. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna come along, show it 10 minutes, I'm done. Which actually was the truth. It only took me 10 minutes to show you how to set up an array on a roof. All right. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for joining us. We love you. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Have a good one.